What's going on, y'all? It's Tyler. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for checking out another video of mine. In this video, it's all about rigging up the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K and really how I've rigged it up specifically for the type of work that I've been shooting recently on it, which is corporate events, weddings, speeches, stuff like that. And the reason why I mention the type of work that I've been shooting on it is because many times your camera rig is going to be contingent upon the type of work that you're shooting and the type of environment that you're in. If you're doing documentary, long-form documentary stuff or narrative work, this rig probably wouldn't be optimized for that. But for what I do, it's really mobile. I can go handheld really quickly, but it's also got everything that I needed. And my philosophy behind this rig was really to maximize the efficiency and the effectiveness of the camera, but to keep it as simple as possible. And you'll see that when you actually break it down, there's really only a few extra parts added to the camera to really make it as useful for me as possible. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna strip this down and start adding each piece on and kind of explain the philosophy of use behind each one. Okay, so the first piece of kit, and it's not as obvious from the intro, but it's probably the most important, and it's batteries. Now, I just use the LPE6 batteries inside the camera. I don't run an external battery because for me, for the type of work that I've been doing, I haven't found that I've needed an external battery for long form shooting. When I'm doing interviews and speeches and stuff like that, I'm usually close to grid power because they're running through mics and all that kind of stuff anyways. So for me, doing that kind of stuff, I just run it right into the wall so I don't have to worry about power. But if I'm doing kind of like running gun type stuff, you know, at an event or something like that, I just keep a bunch of these in my pocket or in my bag. I've been using these Canon LPE6N batteries and then also these Wasabi batteries. Both of these batteries, they show a battery percentage on the camera, but it's not extremely reliable. But I think that's more of a Blackmagic firmware thing than it is the actual batteries, because you plug these up to a Canon camera and the battery percentage is extremely accurate. Okay, the next thing is the camera cage itself. This is a small rig cage. There's a bunch of other manufacturers out there. I just went with small rig. It adds a ton of mounting points to the camera, and I've added a few cold shoe mounts, and it actually has a built-in cold shoe mount on it. It's really robust. It really makes the camera feel much stronger. The camera itself is pretty plasticky, and this kind of adds kind of a protection frame around it. And also kind of adds on this side kind of a gripping handle for, you know, running gun handheld type stuff where you don't need to add a side handle and stuff like that. So like I said, it's got a built-in cold shoe mount here. I've added a couple here. All of my tripods are Manfrotto, so I put a 3/8 and a 1/4 20 in, and that way it just doesn't twist or anything. And you know, when I was on a gimbal before I put the cage on, a lot of times, you know, this camera would like to kind of twist on the gimbal, so this kind of just makes it much more solid for mounting, so I'm not have to worry about this moving or budging at all. Kind of neat with the small rig cage. It does come with an Allen wrench, so I don't know if the other ones do, but it's kind of neat to have a little spot right here for the Allen wrench in case you do need to take it apart. And it's also the same size as the small rig bolts for the cold shoes. So super convenient to have that. So on the front, I've got a Metabones Ultra speed booster, and on the bottom of it, it's probably my favorite piece of kit that I purchased for this whole rig, is this guy right here. This is the small rig Metabones speed booster adapter thing. It kind of makes this whole camera like a Super 35 EF mount pocket cinema camera, kinda. The adapter screws in to the cage here with these two screws, and then on the bottom, if you can see right here, there's a 1/4 20 screw right here, and it actually threads into the 1/4 20 thread on the bottom of the speed booster, and it just makes for a super solid connection point. And yeah, there's no wiggle or anything like that, so kind of makes it a semi-permanent EF mount, but I use all EF lenses, so no worries there for me. So next up is obviously a lens. It obviously changes depending on the scenario. For the most part, I use the Sigma 18-35. I've had this for really, I think since this came out. Yeah, because I just updated the firmware on it and it was on firmware 1.0. I've loved this lens, and it pretty much is glued to the camera unless I need to throw the 70-200 on it to get a super long shot or something like that. So yeah, awesome lens. So next up is audio. Now I don't record audio into the camera. The preamps kind of suck on this camera, honestly, but I use the VP83F to get scratch audio, And this mic has the ability to output quite a bit of gain, similar to the Video Mic Pro and stuff like that. And what it does, it just helps kind of bypass the internal preamps of the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. What this really helps with is just get scratch audio for me so I can sync it up later in post. So up next is a monitoring solution. I have the Small HD 501. I'll leave a link to a video that I did about it, why I use it specifically with the Pocket 4K. But there's a ton of advantages to having an articulating monitor of some sort, even just being able to do this with this little tilt arm that I added on. All kinds of benefits of having an external monitor on the Pocket camera. It definitely makes monitoring your footage much more flexible if you're at crazy angles or anything like that. So last but certainly not least is recording media, and I record to the Samsung T5 SSD drive. I've got a 500 gigabyte one, and for a lot of events and stuff, usually I'll just shoot in HD. It gives me like 800 minutes or something crazy, and it's super quick to offload onto my editing machine and my external hard drives and stuff like that. I've got it on this little cell phone holder adapter thing that I got off Amazon, and it's got two 1/4-20 threaded adapters. Yeah, it's just super cheap. It was like $6, and it's got like kind of a rubber padding in it. It definitely holds on. The spring's really strong on it. The drive is definitely not going anywhere. And I just put a little cold shoe adapter here so I can lock it on to one of the cold shoe mounts. So that's the rig in a nutshell. The only other thing is maybe I'll have it on a slider like this just to get a couple dynamic shots during an event or something like that. But yeah, it's a pretty simple setup. That's what I was going for. Just a mic, monitor, and SSD drive. And if I wanted to go handheld, it is light enough to be able to go handheld, and it adds just enough bulk and weight. So for lenses without IS, it really kind of gets rid of those micro jitters because you are holding just a little bit more weight. But I could run this thing all night and not have to put it down, and I'll be good to go. This has been a really effective and kind of clean setup for me, and I've been really happy with it. So if you found this helpful, useful, or anything like that, definitely give it a thumbs up. Consider hitting that subscribe button down below and that little notification bell next to it so you know when I post content like this. And I'd be curious to know what you're using. So leave a comment below. Let me know if you're, if you got this on a cage or you're just running it bare bones or what. So anyways, thanks for watching this video, guys. I will see y'all next time. Peace.